Stopping discrimination in the workplace is going to be our conversation today. When we discuss stopping discrimination, it's important to understand the federal laws and any additional laws that are enacted in your state or country. It's important to foster communications regarding fairness, diversity, and discrimination. It's also important to understand the unique needs of each ethnic, cultural, disability, or lifestyle group. I've been fortunate over the past few years to teach for an international school, and I've been exposed to many countries and religions and got to have a better appreciation of people who are Muslim or from war-torn countries. I've met people from Pakistan and Jordan and India, South Africa, Mauritius, China, Taiwan, and other countries. And what's really interesting is when you start to put them together in a group and they start to share their own diversities and their own perspectives, that's where the real learning occurs. And it'd be great to see more of this happening in workplaces where people can feel safe to have those open discussions and to get those different perspectives. Workplace discrimination can occur in recruiting and selecting staff, in terms, conditions, and benefits offered as part of the employment. It can occur in those people who receive training and what sort of training is offered or not offered. Lastly, who is considered and selected for transfer, promotion, retrenchment, or dismissal. Some of these can be very subtle as well. So when we look at discrimination, it can come out in behavior. For example, telling insulting jokes about a particular racial group, sending explicit or sexually suggestive emails, displaying offensive or pornographic posters or screensavers, or those that can be perceived as being offensive or pornographic, making derogatory comments or taunts about someone's race or religion, and asking intrusive questions about someone's personal life, including their sex life. So we need to be very mindful of the behavior that we display in the workplace. It's important to discourage discrimination. Always work within the framework of federal or state laws. If you hear or observe something questionable or disconcerting, speak up. If you're in a group setting, discuss the issue in a provocative way rather than pinpointing a specific individual. Understand the unique needs of each ethnic, cultural, disability, or lifestyle group, as we discussed earlier. It's important to create an atmosphere where protected group members do feel comfortable. Right? Make sure that that's not only stated, but it's actually displayed. And it's important for people to feel safe. When we cope with discrimination, over the last few years, there's been charges of gender discrimination in the workplace, and these have increased, unfortunately. Racial bias, while no longer the most common complaint among employees, still remains a problem, as does age discrimination. You know, many of my friends who are over 50, they find it quite difficult to get a job because of their age. And you can even, I've heard other stories in workplaces where if they are a bit older, that they do feel they're discriminated against and are not included. So what are some warning signs? For example, in demographics, if you live in a high percentage where a particular ethnic group is there, but the members are not hired, this could show institutional racism. We see the warning signs through promotions, where various ethnic groups may not be given a promotion despite being highly qualified and doing well in their interviews. High turnover for minorities could be a clear indication that the organization is not conducive to diversity. And then wage discrimination, which we've seen, and it's gotten into the newspapers as well, into the press, regarding the difference between male and female. And this could also be an indicator that we might see in regards to ethnicity. So examples of potential discrimination. For the same infraction, one employer receives a warning where another person is fired. As stated earlier, women are paid less per hour for work in the same job description as a man. And then our age discrimination, employees over 50 years of age are not invited to training programs. Reprisal discrimination is when people report discrimination or breaches to health and safety, and then unfortunately there's a retaliation from the employer. Now there is protection, but unfortunately this still does occur. So termination or disciplinary action, blocking any promotion which the employee was due to receive, threatening behavior towards the employee, assigning undesirable duties to the employee, giving a poor performance review when previous evaluations were positive, blocking of a pay rise or payment of commissions, ignoring the employee. Other forms of reprisal discrimination, constant supervision by management, especially if it was absent before. So this micromanagement starts to occur. Enforcing work rules previously not enforced. Making it difficult for other colleagues to be seen conversing with the employee. Making discriminatory comments. Moralizing, criticizing, or implying disappointment for filing a charge. What should you do? There's a number of steps that you can that you can put into action. First off, who should you approach? Right. Try to approach the person that you're having the problem with directly. And if it's not possible, then try to approach somebody who's in a position to do something about it. Maybe the person that's in management. Know what you want to say. So you should be able to tell them what it is that you're unhappy about, who allegedly feel discriminated against you, where the event occurred, why you're unhappy, and why you believe that the person may have discriminated against you, what you would like to see happen, what the person said or did that was different from how she or he treated others, what you intend to do if the matter is not resolved. You need to also look at, are you too angry or tearful? Don't contact someone when you are emotionally charged, because you're not going to be thinking clearly. Make sure that you come from a point of centeredness, right? Make sure that you remove that emotional charge. Get support from a friend or colleague. Sometimes some people do find it quite useful to take a support person with them when they're confronting someone about a problem. Right? You can take a friend, a relative, a workmate, a community center worker. Find out what support systems are in your workplace for this. A fifth step that you could do is have the main points written down. Writing down what you want to say is a good way of sorting out the issues for yourself. It can also help take that emotional charge out of it, so you're just focusing on the facts. And lastly, if this approach doesn't work, you should make it clear to the person that your first approach that you will take the matter further if they don't help you resolve the problem. If they realize that you're serious about the matter, they're more likely to take action as well. Some ideas about what to do if your first approach doesn't work could include going to another person above them, lodge a written complaint with their organization, or a formal complaint to an outside authority that could help. It's important to note, however, that the threat of further action should not be used in an aggressive manner, as it may be misunderstood to be blackmail. So just a word of warning, if you resign your position, challenging a discrimination action is much more difficult. So it's good to take matters into your hand and also be mature about it, be proactive. So hopefully you've gotten something from this webinar today about how to stop discrimination in your workplace.